Gary, I'd like to ask you, what types of spiritual practices have you found that have been the most impactful for you in your journey? Um, since getting involved in the science of mind and what you've learned.
I'll just start with that idea of the oneness, and that we're made in the likeness and image of God. Whatever your God, you can't describe God, because when you give it God a name, you limit it. So Ernest said it the best. He just said it's it. You know, um, that was his description of it. It. What is this thing called life? There's just so many books, but I think the most powerful thing that we offer here versus a lot of other uh, opportunities would be the spiritual mind treatment. And it is a type of declarative, affirmative prayer where we acknowledge God within us. We recognize that, and we unify ourselves with that one spirit. And then there's a part where you declare what you'd like to have happen in your life. And the fourth section is to be thankful for it and then just release it. Of course, there's a seminar on each one of those steps, but it's really powerful, and it's done that way. So when we say we're not teaching you what to think, you can desire anything you want. We're just showing you how to express it and word it so that it becomes a reality in your life, an experience in your life. Edison or Einstein said thoughts are things. That's what he meant. Everything starts with a thought. But we forget that. So we need to, get community, get around people, come once a week, come to a class, join one of the groups, conversation groups, or so that we can just remind ourselves what we already know. It's kind of one of the things I'm working on, to remind ourselves when to remember what we already know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hope I answered your question there.
Yeah, the spiritual mind treatment is definitely a great practice for sure. I've also found meditation to be extremely helpful.
Definitely.
Something really powerful. Meditation is part of our service on Sunday mornings.
And it's guided too. So if you're not familiar with meditation and what that's all about, we have a guided meditation. So it'll kind of help you understand what that is all about. But all the answers that you're looking for are in the silence. A lot of us look for them in schools, jobs, elsewhere. I always say, like, animals have intuition. Well, they follow theirs, right? I mean, they have what's animals are their instinct. They have instinct, and they follow that. We have intuition, but a lot of times we don't follow our intuition. So that's the guidance. That's the guidance. The guidance that's there, that's offered to us when we allow it to come into us. That's what meditation is all about. It's opening up to that wisdom.
Learning to get out of the way.
Yeah, we gotta get out of the way.
Yeah,
for sure.
I've definitely gotten in the way a lot in my life, and didn't trust that inner instinct.
Well, I've heard this a million times before I came to the center. You're your worst enemy, right? Well, what do they mean by that? And so it's the consistency of our thought, not exactly what we're saying. So if we're saying, I'm going to get this new car and it's going to be great, and then we're getting in our old car and we're focusing on how bad our car is, your tendency is about the bad car, but what you're saying is about the new car. So it's the tendency that we have to really realize. So you start watching, become more aware of your thoughts. A lot of people use journaling to write down things, their thoughts during the day, and find the patterns. What is a pattern and it's those patterns, those subconscious thoughts that hold you back from what you really want.
Were you able to recognize some patterns that you had?
Yeah. Just a few. Some were mine, but I didn't want to. I couldn't take credit for all of them. It's just things I learned. People had taught things. You heard repetition, things like that. That's for those people, or that kind of life's for them. So you just put it off,
Right. Gary, what was the process? What was your experience like going through the actual realization process? And the
Well, I got excited about it because I knew that once I recognized the patterns of my thought and where they were coming from, that I could easily change them. It wasn't anything that I was stuck to. It wasn't something that I had to live with or deal with. I realized I could change it. So it was challenging, but at the same time, it was rewarding because then I understood what the problem was, why the blockage was there. So the other side's great, but it takes work and it takes patience. And the biggest part was forgiving myself for the way I thought, things like that. So I did beat myself up for quite a while, and I realized that wasn't serving anybody, like certainly me. So I had to forgive myself, and forgiveness is a major part of the program here.
forgiveness, absolutely. That
Holding that kind of anger and angst, it's not healthy. Comes out in many physical forms. So much from stress. It's got to come out somewhere. So do it mentally, and don't let it affect your body like that.
I went to I had gone to a psychiatrist several years back, and been to many of them in my lifetime, but and I went to him, and I was just planning on talking to him about kind of like my ADD, and he just sat there and listened to me for probably half an hour, 45 minutes or so. And it's interesting that you bring up the anger piece, because that's what he pointed out. He said, "You got a lot of anger pent up inside." And even though he told me that, I didn't realize it.
Hard. They're buried so far in. We really need help and counsel to bring it up.
Definitely the center it really took me deep, and it allowed me to see things that I wouldn't allow myself to see.
Right.
It's amazing what we can keep ourselves from seeing, yet we suffer the consequences from it still being there. And that's one of the things that's been just the greatest gifts that this place has given me, is the insight to all of that suppressed anger and just resentment towards people, events in my life. If you would ask me, "Oh, are you an angry person?" I'd say, "No, I'm pretty calm. I'm pretty relaxed, pretty chill." But
right.
Let me tell you, I was pretty deceived by myself, and then all of a sudden, I experienced that moment of clarity.
Understanding.
Understanding, yes, we'll call it the moment of understanding, where that came in. And forgiveness, I cried like a baby when that became evident to me, and it was absolutely life-changing for sure. I can totally pick up on the whole anger piece, and learning to change all of that, and recognizing that we do have control over that. We can reprogram ourselves. That's
So
been,
through the courses, you go through jealousy, worthiness, all those things, and the more you dig in there, you realize this can't be true for me. This just can't be true. So that's kind of where I was. I didn't want to accept that as the truth. And then I started learning options and different perspectives about things like that, and it just started making sense. That's one thing about the truth is the truth. So when you hear something that's true to you and it's true, you go, yeah, that's true.
yeah, it's non-debatable.
Right.
Even though you have that urge to debate it. That's when you start to become aware of the story you're telling yourself versus what really is.
Yeah, what's helped a lot too is the classes and being in a class with, 7 or 8 people, totally confidential. So, you're free to share. And it's amazing how it was 2 people look at the same thing, get 2 different perspectives. So when you hear someone else's, then it allows you to move over and look at your life from a different perspective. So to get out of it, so to speak, for a minute and look at it from a different angle, and that's where that stuff happened.
That's where it takes some serious work and willingness, right?
It does. But it's easy with a group. It really helps out with a group. Because for me, a lot of the things I was feeling and experiencing, I was embarrassed. I didn't want to talk about those things like that. But it just gave me an avenue and a platform to just share and be honest and grow from that.
Yeah. So it sounds to me, and that, I think we can both agree that coming and attending a Sunday service, is a great, it definitely had a lot of value to it. But I think where the significant change takes place is when you really dive into the courses and the classes, and
Well, you start to embody it. So instead of just having that feeling once or twice a week, now you can embody that. You can take that every day, and you can change everything. But just once a week, honestly, it's not enough. Sometimes you got to read the book twice. The second time you read it, it's got a different meaning than the first time.
Right. Yeah.